Alright, so we're going to need the Y. We're going to be taking out some stuff here. I'm doing some Gresham law about what geometry is, Archimedes, Plato, some other stuff. It's important to understand the base before we go somewhere to subnetting and why, what this is, at least to a practical level, economically, is what this stuff is doing. It's very clean at this point in time. Computers work on the 8-bit, so you'll need 2, 4, 8. It really doesn't work on any of the other fractals, and because of that, you get fuzzles, you get heat, you get light, or you get heat and some sound usually. But if there's sound, there's definitely heat involved. Something fuzzled out of here. In subnetting for routers or what we'll get into as a problem.
There's a lot of videos out there that show you how to perform IP subnetting, but it usually involves some type of math. You have to understand the powers of two. You need to understand how to convert.
I excel real good, which will get you into why this math is nested into what Excel is. I'm really good with the charts. I like making those charts. Hopefully you've seen them in other things that I've done. It should be analytical or analog to how people do certain things. It's the quarter, the half, the fractal, 2/3 of whatever I'm dealing with here is the costs. And so that's a subnet. And when I'm thinking about the usual measurements of how my processes work out through the day, that this is on a line. And it's made up of evil hours as far as what a 24-hour system would be here at the physics level. Now, nested into that is electricity, because electricity is NP, copper, potassium, I think is what it is. And how charges work within in that nature of the amounts and proportions, 1/3, 2/3 in a unit of, I forget what the uniform current, I forget what it's called, that says at those levels we use these ratios, we use these things. And like actions at spooky distances, they will help you figure out the routing addresses, the DDoS attack stuff different. I want you to use these. So remember Gresham's law on right at the moment. This is a test different. So this is the test problem. And you don't usually say it. You know, when you're looking at some of the fractals that I was doing, at least by a system in here, we're saying a 1-to-1 ratio is square, right? We're saying that a 1-to-2 ratio is a rectangle. And no matter what the units are here, we will start to fractalize this system by, you know, when this gets into 192, 255 would be an example. You'll get a 254. You'll understand because it's always that factorial. It's in those logs. Now, computers are going to use 2s and 4s and 8s. The goose stuff, if you will, in field theory, because that's what it's doing. Just most people don't make that association with it. It took me a long time about grinding it out and trying to permutation different duck head feathers on a mallard to figure out what type of fly pattern that would do. Not exactly the same thing, but there's a subnet to it. There is, if you do the base, which most flies do, you're going to need to set a base thread around there. It takes roughly that long, 2 to the 8th. Just for funsies. Just Coulomb charges here. The tree in the triangle here, it doesn't matter what size that tree is in this math problem.
Now we know that with
right?
those 2 bits that we're borrowing,
it does not matter,
those
Lucy.
subnet bits we would calculate as 2 to the 2nd power, since we're borrowing.
And so when we do these subnets, we're saying that the host is 24 bits. That's the hour. That's 24 hours in a day. The subnet to that is that I'm going to hijack 2 bits to this, and it was clean because there was 4. It'll do that differently. When this math problem about why you need the chart, or you have to be able to do the math XY, explains why both are useful and interesting. In the test, this may be what the job is, that I have to hack this out, but eventually I need this answer before I do the whole subfield. If I have to grind out the whole the Jacobian matrix to just this route, then I'm kind of in the wrong department, because at its very base level, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, or however they achieve that theta, or excuse me, alpha, photon, beta, gamma, I don't know, whatever. In math, they very specifically speak a language for this, but I hate to say that, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. If you and I knew that, and I was like, photon, but we were still on the same thing, that's fine between two parties. The problem when you get to third parties and fourth parties with this, it starts to fall apart, starts to decay. Those little log 2s, when log 3 gives it a pocket for heat, gives it a pocket for a way for that to scutter out off of what the Gaussian would be from these things, because scaled is moment there. Remember, this is all mathematical, mechanical operations. If that, then it should be that there's a relay in that circuit, except for now we're changing the term x and y from relay to
Obviously, on an exam, you don't have time to
I'm going to leave it at that.